All right, what is going on today? I am out here at a house in Peterborough that I'm going to be going through and kind of walking you through how you should look at your first property when you're like either a first-time home buyer or maybe you just haven't went and looked at houses in person in a long time, so you kind of forget what to look at. And remember that when you're first going, you want to make notes and you want to take pictures of things so you remember what you're actually looking at and what houses had what. Because if you're going to look at 4 or 5 houses in one day, you're going to forget stuff, especially if that first house was a good one, but you forget what you looked at because you've looked at so many. So we're going to go inside in a second here, but since we're on the outside, what you should really be looking at is like the condition of the roof. As you can see right here, we got some chipping paint. You want to make note of that. This barn's in kind of rough shape, not the best situation, but you want to make note of these things. And it's okay, whatever the condition is, but just remember it and kind of, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, you're going to come in and be like, uh-oh, I already see 100 red flags. But just make note of it for later down the road in case you end up putting in an offer or wanting to put in an offer. You can say, oh, this is what I liked about this. And then when you're also out here, listen. You got some road noise because guess what? You're about, I don't know, 45 feet off of a main road here in Peterborough. So there are some downsides, but just make note of all this type of stuff and don't get overwhelmed when you're on your first property or even your first couple properties, because your realtor, they walk through this, they do it every day. They know what they're going to look at, but it's what you should look at and what you should make note of. So we'll jump right on inside and we'll show you what to look at in there. All right, so now that we're in the house, I'm gonna kind of walk through and show you some things that you should kind of look for and keep an eye out for when you're touring your first home, because as a first-time home buyer, some of this stuff can kind of not go by the wayside, but you get kind of just caught up in being out in the field and actually seeing some houses in person that you kind of either don't take any notes, because who does that anymore, or no pictures. I recommend taking pictures and notes when you're walking through, just so like when you come back, you can kind of have a reference sheet of what you remember about the property and certain aspects you either like, had questions about, or concerns about. So you want to like come through and you just look through everything. I'm going to turn around the camera and just kind of show you what you should be looking for and things to just keep an eye out, mark down, make note of. So when we're first coming through, just take your time, walk around with your agent. They'll kind of do some showing around for you. For me personally, as a realtor, I like to let my buyers do what they want to do. It's your showing. You're coming here to look at what you want to know and feel about the property, because if you were to buy the property, you're going to be living it. So you have to actually think of yourself, hey, would I live here? So like in here, yes, you're going to be looking, of course, it's a kitchen, but you want to go over, you want to make sure that there's nothing crazy under the sink. As you can see, it still like has people here, but try to make sure like there's no leaks or anything crazy happening down below. Check the water pressure. A lot of people will not check the water pressure, which is, again, it just kind of goes by the wayside. You actually want to let it run, see how it does, maybe warm it up if you want. Check the appliances, kind of just make note of things. Again, just so you can remember, you can refer back to it. Like, okay, this got a washer and a dryer in here. That's awesome. The sink, kind of small. That's what I would make note of. And then you just want to look at stuff like this has some cracking, mainly because I bet that wasn't completely running the fan properly, so it got all the condensation and made it start chipping. So make note, hey, we're gonna have to fix that in there. Or make note that you want to make sure it doesn't have any mold or anything harmful like that. And then just go through every room, kind of give it a feel. And this house is definitely a little bit interesting. We got a hole in the roof, and the hole in the roof is actually something that will go upstairs and I'll show you. But I usually always go through the main level first and then upstairs, and then basement I always finish with, just because nobody ever wants to go in the basement and it's not much fun. So as you can see, small staircase, some weird features. So that is why they put in a hatch here. I'm guessing, I don't know, not my house, but so they could actually bring furniture up to the second floor and be able to live up here. Then we got a couple bedrooms. And when you're looking through here, again, just take note of the size, take note of the condition. How many outlets are there? Are they updated? What is the state of this? Like this room, we got one light on the side of the wall. Now that might not be a big deal, but it's probably gonna have to get updated at some point. Then here you would have like the crawl space. You wanna check in here, check for anything good. Make note of that. Then when you're walking around, just remember, take a little bit down. This one has a really weird bathroom. So, you know, some things just like to stick, but look at this thing. Is that the world's smallest toilet or what? Like, what the heck? It's got a skylight though, so that's pretty cool. And then you come in here, you got attic access. Sometimes you can poke your head up there, but like you're not going to be able to fit in there during a showing. That's mainly for home inspectors when you actually get a home inspection. And then in here, you can kind of see there's a difference of flooring. So you might ask your realtor, hey, can you ask the listing agent to figure out why it goes from hardwood to not hardwood? My guess is maybe there were some built-ins there or something weird was there in the past that they ended up tearing out because there's like an outlet on the floor in front of that. So there had to be something there first that they couldn't get to the wall. So just little weird, strange things that you want to make note of. Windows, check the windows. These ones are pretty old. They still seem to work. Not the smoothest window in the world, but it works. And yeah, so just don't get overwhelmed when you're coming through this stuff is basically what I'm trying to say. So next I'm gonna pause the video and we'll head down to the basement. So now we're gonna go down to the basement. Basement, again, this is usually what I do last. Typically, I feel like most realtors show it last, but again, every agent has their own thing. And this basement's a little bit interesting. It's 2 units here, 2 family. So that's why we got 2 boilers, 2 hot water heaters, 2 oil tanks, a bunch of this stuff. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but all you essentially want to do is just check some stuff. See if it's been taken care of. See if it's updated, if it's actually like got tags like this. Like, okay, that helps, but there's no, when was the last time it was actually serviced? So it's just little things like that. Like, neither of these have any tags on it saying the last time they were serviced, so that's concerning. Something you would ask your realtor that you're walking around with, hey, can we figure that out? Find out the last time it was actually taken care of. Walk through here, just check some stuff, and look around the foundation. This one is an old New England foundation, so it kind of is what it is. Like, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be level, but it looks solid, and as you can see on the floor, it doesn't look like much water comes in here, which is nice. And it's not too bad. The only thing I'm not seeing is the electrical panel. That must be upstairs or outside somewhere. But yeah, kind of just check everything. It's pretty like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of best terms to put it. Like, of course you're a first-time home buyer or just any home buyer. You're not going to know everything about all mechanics of homes. So don't expect to, and don't expect your realtor to, because they're not a professional home inspector. They show houses, write contracts, and help people buy stuff. They don't know all the intricacies of how a house is built, how a boiler works, and all these little things. They're not going to know, but they can help you get answers and figure out the answer to what you don't know. And it's just figuring out all that stuff. And then you'll, of course, want to go on the outside. I'm not going to show the front of this property, but we'll go in the backyard here. And you just want to check some stuff out, like check around. You want to like check the foundation, check anything weird that looks alarming. Make note of it. Like on this, you can see it was vinyl sided, but like down here is still exposed paint that is chipping and needs work. You like look at things. New England's horrible with drainage systems. Because whenever you seem to put them in, guess what? They get clogged. That's just what happens. So a lot of times people don't even put them in, but then you have issues because you get water going into your foundation. So there's always these little things, and like up here, you can see that might need some work up there. And just kind of, again, you're just looking at the house from unbiased perspective is really what you want to do. And this one's easy because it's empty. Like there's no furniture, there's no crazy things that like might skew what you think of it. Because sometimes when you go into someone's house that is fully furnished, I decided to switch it back to this. But when you go into someone's house that is fully furnished and people do live there, maybe it's an open house and there's 15 other couples who are walking through this property with you. You're going to kind of get lost in the sauce, not to be weird about it, but you're going to get lost and kind of like forget to look for things. And that's okay. But you just want to go through and make note of as much stuff as you can to remember for when you're putting in that offer, you know what you want to offer. You know what you're going to need to address when you get the property, if you get the property. But again, you're not going to figure out every little thing the first time you walk through. But these are the things you should check. This one, I didn't show too much of the like paint because the paint's pretty well in this place, but look for paint, look for cracks in the walls, look for all the little minute stuff that you might just skip on originally because you don't think about it. But when you're going through an open house, at least have like kind of a checklist that you're gonna make sure you look at these 5 things or something like that. Make it digestible, make it rememberable so you can actually look back at it as a reference if you want to put in an offer and go from there. But it's not going to be your only opportunity to ever look at the house. If you get your offer accepted and you go through with a home inspection, then you're going to get such a detailed report about every little thing in the house that'll give you such a better explanation of what to expect and actually what you're getting into, good or bad. And keep in mind with home inspectors, their job is to pick apart houses. Like that's literally their job, is to come in unbiased. They're getting hired from you, a third party. You don't even own the property. So like they're not trying to make you happy. They're just showing you what the house is, what needs to be addressed, what is not up to code, and what you need to fix. So that is really when you actually know everything about it. But when you're first walking through as a first-time home buyer or as just a home buyer that hasn't went in a while, just look at these types of things and make note, check them. No one's gonna mind you taking some pictures and taking some notes, and you should do that. You should. So I hope this video kind of helps you out. I know it was kind of short all over the place. I kind of filmed it on just a random limb. I wasn't even supposed to come out and look at this house today, but I was like, you know what? This would be a great opportunity to show you what you should look at because it's kind of vacant. So I had some time to be able to shoot this. But I hope it added some value. And if you're looking for homes around this area, around the Keene, New Hampshire, I'm technically in Peterborough right now, but anywhere around the, I guess, western side of the state, southwestern side of New Hampshire. If you're looking for a house, hit me up, let me know. I'd be more than happy to either help you out or point you in the right direction if I'm not the right fit. But I really hope this helped, and I'll catch you next week.